Hello everybody. It is me again. And I have kind of a funny story today. Again, I was somewhat overanalyzing how these videos were going to go or what kinds of things I was going to say. And two things today. One, I wanted to share with you a little bit about my beautiful Dalton. And one of those things is that since he became non-ambulatory, which was almost 3 years ago, it'll be 3 years ago this coming December, it's been very difficult for him to wear shoes. And if you've ever seen Duchenne children, and I'll have to let you see my Dalton, I'll make him be in a video with me. But they stay pretty little because of the steroids that they're on. Any of those that are taking corticoid steroids, which Dalton happens to be taking and has taken since about a month after diagnosis, it keeps him very small. And so his feet are little bitty, pretty chunky, and because of the contractures that muscular dystrophy causes, it causes their feet to go into a pointed position. And sometimes they actually can turn in as well, and that's why physical therapy is so important, and massaging and stretching is so important, because the contractures can be painful. But Dalton has just always had these delicious, cute feet that have been hard to put into shoes because the thickness between his arch and the top of his foot is because it's kind of in a point, it's very thick, and so you can't usually open up the tongue wide enough to stick his delicious little feet down in there. So we really have just worn slippers and kind of fancy slippers for the last couple of years, and some like nerves, the Velcro kind of flip-flop things throughout the summer. Just go barefoot or even just wear socks, and that's worked for us. So I believe this week, maybe late last week, the beginning of June, Nintendo partnered with Vans, and they came out with a Nintendo line of Van shoes. And a very good friend of mine's daughter works at a store that sells them, and so she's the one who brought it to my attention, and that caused us to go look at them on the internet, and that caused Dalton to want these shoes very, very much so. So today, Marissa, Dalton, and I got to go to the mall, and we actually went to the store, and we're going to try them on. Well, I'm not sure if you all are familiar with Vans, but I'm sure the majority of you are, and they're kind of like a flat shoe that laces up, and there's just no way we could get Dalton's foot into it. So Marissa tried, I tried, we even tried going up a size, and so it wasn't happening. So then that particular store only carried the low tops, and so we happened to be checking with the Vans store, which I didn't even know there was one in our mall, but we have a new Vans store in the mall, to see if they happened to come in wide sizes. And so we went in there, and they did not come in wide sizes. However, they had some high top Nintendo Vans that actually zip down the back, and because they're similar to the Converse high tops, but with the high tops you can actually pull the tongue all the way down almost to the toes. So we were able to get Dalton's feet in them. Needless to say, we came home with them. And I sent a picture to a friend of ours who is employed by Nintendo to show her, because she's just been a massive blessing on our journey. And of course she thought he absolutely looked adorable, and so I sent more pictures of him. He got a Game Over hat, and on the bottom of the shoes it says Game Over. And for any of you who do not know or not familiar with our story, and or Dalton in particular, he's an avid gamer. He loves everything Nintendo. He owns every console, old and new. He even has an Atari, and that's a whole nother blessing that I'll get into another day, but he literally has tons of consoles, every Nintendo console that's ever been made, tons of games, and so all things gaming really are his life. And kind of funny part of that is I hated video games, have never been a huge video game person, thought they were somewhat of a waste of time, and hated that children would spend hours on these video games rather than being outside playing and living life. Little did I know God was going to change my attitude on that, because now I'm absolutely thankful that someone invented these crazy, obnoxious, expensive things, because my Dalton finds so much joy in them, and it's something that realistically he'll be able to do for a very long time. The last thing that should go would be his hands, and we're praying that that never happens, but realistically he has many, many years left of being able to play his games. So I will have to post, Dalton and I have done one of those, damn Daniel, one of those, not a vine, but I mean that was a vine that became viral, and everybody, I think, has seen Damn Daniel. Back at it again with the white vans. And so Dalton and I did our own rendition of that with his Nintendo vans. And so I'm going to try to get him to hook this video up with that video or something, or just post it after this one or something on my new little channel. As you can tell, this is totally not my thing because it's all brand new to me. But anyway, so it'll be really fun for y'all to watch. Another thing is that I'm probably going to try, now that I'm at 5.5 minutes, I'm going to probably try to wait and maybe post tomorrow. But something today, after I posted the very first video that I've made for this entire part of my journey, this new endeavor, a fellow Duchenne mom commented on my video. And I guess it was kind of crazy of me, but I didn't necessarily think that I'd be ministering to my, in a sense, my family members, my Duchenne family. But at the same time, it was silly of me to not think I was, because there were times that I had to watch others earlier in my journey, and it was helpful for me. But sometimes I didn't want to watch them because it was too painful to face the reality of what was going to come down the pike for me. But it just kind of made me think, wow, you have gone from that newly diagnosed mom who could barely catch her breath, who couldn't sleep at night, who worried so much about every little move. And now, because God's allowed me to walk almost 6 years through this journey, I see how much stronger I am. And again, I can see the blessings that have come from this nightmare. And I can thank him for, though David and I would change our circumstances in a second. Some of you have probably heard me say this, that though we would change our circumstances in a second, the lessons we've learned and the perspective we have, I would not give up for anything in the world. And so I'm hoping that another one of the reasons for this vlogging is to hopefully allow some of my fellow Duchenne moms, dads, families, brothers, sisters, to maybe find encouragement that in the midst of this terrible, terrible, catastrophic nightmare, there's so much joy to be had and so much life to live. You can't compare yourself to typical families. You can't compare yourself to anybody, which really, even without Duchenne, that's a very unhealthy thing to do, is to compare yourself to others, because it always creates you. You'll never feel content with what you have, and that's just not a healthy way of living. Now, don't get me lying. There are days I still compare myself, so don't think, ooh, Stacy's got this all right, because I don't. But I really can, even after having a day of feeling sorry for myself, or a day of being angry, or a day of comparing and wishing and having envy and being jealous of just wanting to be normal. I can slap myself into reality, because deep down I know that I'm so much better for this, and that regardless of how much I wish and want something to be different in my life, those are things beyond my control. And if I can't control it, then I'm going to do the best with what I've got. And I'm going to make sure that I give Dalton and Marissa both the gift of finding those silver linings, because it's how I train my mind. And you can have bad days. You've got to go down into the valleys in order to come back out and feel on top of the world again. But you can't stay in the valleys too long, because it will eat you up. It'll tear you apart. It'll make you miserable. It'll make all those around you miserable. And that's just not living. That's not the way God intends us to live our life. So I, once again, always try to live on purpose. So another 9-minute video. I apologize for that, but I wanted to share those couple things with you today, and I will be back with you tomorrow. Take care. God bless, and live on purpose, folks.